Today we're going to talk about GCC workplace violence prevention. The overview is that workplace violence is among the top leading causes of workplace fatalities, and there are thousands of non-fatal violent on-the-job incidents each year. Workplace violence can occur at any business or workplace, and anyone can be a victim. Therefore, it's important for you to know how to prevent these incidences and what to do if you encounter a potential violent situation at work. This session also occurs over workplace violence prevention plan that we have, how to report the incidents and the workplace violent hazards of your job, and information about the violent incident log that you will have access to submit your request. Now, the learning objectives today is at the completion of this training, all employees should be able to describe the 4 types of workplace violence, identify workplace violence risk factors, recall energy and administrative controls, recognizing the signs of potential violence, diffuse potential violence situations safely, and respond appropriately to a violent incident. Now, the violence in the workplace policy, which is also on our GCC website, GCC has adopted a policy prohibiting workplace violence, including a workplace violence prevention plan. Consistent with this policy, acts or threats of physical violence, including intimidation, harassment, bullying, and/or coercion, which involve or affect GCC schools and/or GCC central office, or which occur on GCC property, will not be tolerated. Examples of workplace violence include, but are not limited to, the following. All threats or acts of violence occur on GCC premises, regardless of the relationship between GCC and the parties involved. All threats or acts of violence occurring off GCC premises involving someone who is acting in the capacity of a representative of GCC. Specific examples of conduct which may be considered threats or acts of violence, including but are not limited to the following: hitting or shoving an individual, threatening an individual or their family, friends, associates, or property with harm, initially destruction, or threatening to destroy GCC property, making harassing or threatening phone calls, harassing, surveillance, or stalking, following or watching somebody, unauthorized possession or inappropriate use of firearms or weapons. GCC's prohibition against these threats, acts of violence applies to all persons involved in GCC's operation, including but not limited to all personnel, contract, unpaid interns, volunteers, and temporary workers, and anyone else, including parents on GCC property. Violations of this policy by an individual on GCC property will lead to disciplinary action up to and including termination and/or legal action as appropriate. All employees are encouraged to report incidents of threats or acts of physical violence of which they are aware to their supervisors or to the GCC Human Resources Department. If an employee becomes aware of an imminent act of violence, a threat of imminent violence, or actual violence, emergency assistance must be sought immediately. In such situations, the employee should contact the law enforcement authorities by dialing 911. Immediately after contacting the law enforcement authorities, the employee must report the incident to the Director of Human Resources, Laura Berrigan, at 916-286-5199, extension 2089, and or the Chief of Staff and Strategy, Matt Taylor, at 916-286-5120, or complete a report via the staff room at gccharters.org. Employees should inform their supervisor or to the Director of Human Resources, Laura Berrigan, at 916-286-5199, extension 2089, and or the Chief of Staff and Strategy, Matt Taylor, at 916-286-5120, about any workplace security hazards. If these individuals are not available, the employee should immediately inform any other supervisor so that the appropriate action can be taken. There will be no retaliation against any employee who brings a complaint in good faith under the Violence in the Workplace policy or honestly assists in investigating such a complaint, even if the investigation produces insufficient evidence that there has been a violation or if the charges cannot be proven. However, disciplinary action may be taken against employees who, in bad faith, make false or frivolous accusations. In certain circumstances, the school may seek a workplace violence restraining order on behalf of one or more employees in furtherance of its commitment to provide a workplace that is free from acts of violence or threats of violence. SB 553. Effective July 1st, 2024, California enacted SB-553, requiring most employers to implement a written workplace violence prevention plan, WVPP, and provide employee training on workplace violence prevention. Workplace violence prevention plan, required training, ongoing hazard inspections, investigation incidents, maintain incident log. What is a workplace violence? Any act of violence or threat of violence at the workplace, including the threat or use of physical force against an employee, an incident involving the threat or use of a firearm or another dangerous weapon. The workplace violence definition does not include lawful acts of self-defense or defense of others. However, incidents involving self-defense may still warrant documentation, as other types of violence may have necessitated self-defense. Workplace violence terms. Emergency, unanticipated, possesses risk of insufficient injuries to employees. Injuring controls. Removing the hazard or creating a barrier between the work and the hazard. Log. Violent incident log. Plan. Workplace violence prevention plan. Threat of violence. Statement that conveys intent to inflict harm. Workplace controls. Rules to reduce hazards. The elements of the workplace prevention plan. You have hazard assessment, work practices, incident response, training, and record keeping. Hazard assessment, you have records reviewed, security analysis, identify risk factors, and report concerns. Work practices, engineering controls, you have security cameras, controlled access, adequate lighting. Administrative controls, produces for reporting problem behavior, conflict resolution techniques, buddy system. Incident response, initiate response, response for injured employee, incident reporting, incident investigation, violence incident log. Training, so you have report workplace violence, then recognize and respond to hazards, identify potential hazards, review security measures, complete violent incident log, respond to aftermath. Record keeping, you have records of hazard assessments, records of workplace practices, violence incident logs, investigation reports. The 4 types of workplace violence. Type 1 violence is workplace violence committed by a person who has no legitimate business at the worksite and includes violent acts by anyone who enters the workplace or approaches workers with the intent to commit a crime. Type 2 violence is workplace violence directed at employees by customers, clients, patients, students, inmates, or visitors. Students' family and or guardian are included. Type 3 violence is workplace violence against an employee by a present or former employee, supervisor, or manager. Type 4 violence is workplace violence committed in the workplace by a person who does not work there, but has or is known to have had a personal relationship with an employee. The examples of workplace violence are verbal threats, aggressive behavior, which also includes physical attacks from students or animals, abusive or offensive language, disorderly conduct, false statements, or weapons. The risk factors: likelihood: working directly with the public, working alone, working at night, working where alcohol is served, mobile workplaces, working with unstable or violent persons, working in high crime areas, guiding valuable goods or property, working in community-based settings. Risk factors: severity: you have inadequate security systems such as a lack of door locks, entry codes or badge readers, security windows, physical barriers, restraint systems. Unrestricted movement of the public in a facility. Ineffective systems and procedures that warn others of actual or potential workplace violence, danger, or that summon assistance, such as alarms or panic buttons. Blocked escape routes. No posting of emergency telephone numbers for law enforcement, fire, and medical services. No access to a telephone with an outside line. No designated safe area where employees can go in an emergency. Employees' lack of skill in safety handling threatening or hostile service. Recipients and the lack of communication between management and employees. Controls, workplace, and procedures. Engineering controls, security cameras, locked doors and badges, adequate lighting. Administrative controls, procedures for reporting problem behavior, conflict resolution techniques, and buddy system. Work-related triggers of violence: layoffs, terminations, bad behavior reports or poor performance, conflict with coworkers, perceived unfairness. Personal triggers of violence can be domestic violence, substance abuse, untreated mental illness, stressful life events. External triggers of violence can be stressful situations with students and student families, substance abuse and mental illness, other crimes, random acts. Workplace security: what you can do. Report to the proper authority any suspicious individuals or activity you see anywhere inside or outside the workplace. Make sure visitors sign in and are escorted to the entire time they're on the premises. Where required, identification wherever appropriate, and require visitors to be properly identified. Lock valuables such as purses, wallets in your desk or locker. Report any security breaches such as signs of break-in or missing items. Cooperate with the investigation. Use a prearranged danger signal to alert someone in your immediate vicinity of immediate danger. Defusing potential violent situations. Remain calm and continue to speak in a moderate tone of voice. Show respect to people even when they become upset. Focus on the problem by asking details about the situation and going over possible solutions. Alert a coworker or colleague with a prearranged danger signal if it is believed that the person may become violent or the situation generates a sense of fear for personal safety or the safety of others. The coworker or colleague will immediately report this to security and or the police. Levels of violence and responses. Level 1, behavior: bullying, uncooperative, very abusive. Response: calm attitude, acknowledge feelings, seek help if needed, contact supervisor. Level 2, behavior: argumentative, damages equipment, threatens to others. Response: secure your safety, call 911 if warranted, contact supervisor. Level 3, behavior: suicidal threats, physical fights, use of weapons. Response: leave the area, call 911, contact supervisor. Violence response. Gateway Community Charters is committed to maintain safe and secure campuses for all students and staff. To that end, a comprehensive school safety plan occurs. GCC's policies and expectations regarding the practice of each school is maintaining the security of the physical campus, responding appropriately to emergencies, increasing the safety and protection of students and staff, and creating a safe and orderly environment that is conducive to learning. All school employees receive training in the Comprehensive School Safety Plan upon joining the school and review any changes to the plan annually. All GCC schools have a safety plan addendum in accordance with this plan that describes school-specific policies, schedules such as schedules of safety trainings, schedules of drills, disaster plans, policies for safety, ingress, egress, and policies regarding staff discipline. Responding to these injuries and threats, call 911, report the incident to supervisor and/or administrator, secure area, prepare violent incident log, affected employees provided with counseling. Aftermath of workplace violence, signs of distress, withdrawing from peers, calling in sick or overworking, difficulty concentrating, ways to cope, talk about incident, spend extra time with loved ones, turn off media coverage. Mental health resources. GCC offers mental health resources to all employees. Employees can access assistance 24 hours a day by accessing any of the resources listed below. Employee Assistance Program, Lincoln Employee Assistance, guidanceresources.com. You have the username and password, which is LFG support. Talk with a specialist at 888-628-4824. Sacramento County Mental Health 24-hour crisis line, the service provided by Health Services. They have two different numbers, 888-881-4881 or 916-875-1055. Yellow County Mental Health 24-hour crisis line has also two different numbers, 888-965-6647 or 800-735-2929. Violent incident log. We have date, time, and location, workplace violence type, description of incident, who committed the violence, circumstances, type of incident, consequences, person completing the log. The investigation. Comply with investigation, evaluation report with mitigation strategies to prevent similar incidents, corrective actions. Key points to remember. Types of workplace violence. Type 1 is committed by a person who has no legitimate business at the worksite and who has the intent to commit a crime. Type 2, directed at employees by customers, clients, students, inmates, or visitors. Type 3, committed against an employee by a present or former employee, supervisor, or manager. Type 4, committed by a person who does not work at the workplace but has or is known to have had a personal relationship with an employee. Key points to remember. Risk factors are high likelihood working with the public alone at night, increased severity, inadequate security, unrestricted movement, ineffective warning procedures. Controls are security cameras, alarms, controlled access, adequate lighting, reporting, behavior, conflict resolution techniques, buddy system. The signs are bullying, disrespectful, uncooperative, and or verbal abuse, escalation, argumentative, steals, property, threats. Diffusing is remaining calm, show respect, focus on problem. The response, leave the area, call 911, report, cooperate with investigation, violent incident log, receive counseling. If you have any questions, you are more than welcome to email Laura Berrigan or Matt Taylor. Laura Berrigan, it is laura.berrigan@gccharters.org. Matt Taylor is matt.taylor@gccharters.org. I'm going to show you where on our Gateway Community Charters website where you can locate the plan along with the form to submit if there's any incidences. So you're going to go to the GCC website at gccharters.org. It's going to take you to our website. You're going to go over to the More tab. You're going to go to Staff. And then you're going to log in if it doesn't log you in automatically with your GCC email. Then it now has logged you in, so you can see additional forms. You're going to go to Central Office. You're going to go down all the way to Human Resources. Now it's going to bring you to Human Resources. And then right here, you're going to see Workplace Violence Prevention Plan. If you click that, it will pull up the GCC Workplace Violence Plan, which we just discussed in the slides. It's just in a bit more detail, but it's kind of a repeat which we just went over. And it's also got Laura Berrigan and Matt Taylor's email right here. You also have Mr. Samples and then Jerry Little, depending on the responsibilities. And it has more information and links on the plan as you go down. And if you go back to the tab here, and then if you're going to be reporting for any of the form, right underneath the plan here is the Workplace Violence Reporting Form. You're going to click on that. It's going to take you to our Inform K-12 system. It may automatically put your name and your email. If it does not, please put your name and your work email. Click Go to Form. It's going to pop up this little instructions information that pretty much states if you consider the act or threat of violence as serious, immediately call 911. If you have not done that and you feel like it's a act or threat of violence is serious, please call 911 before submitting this form, and then you can submit this form after. If you've already done so and you're submitting, you just hit OK. All right, now it's going to take you to the incident form. All the areas in red are required for the form. If you do know the additional information that is not in red, we do encourage for you to fill it out if you do know the information. If not, we will be able to find the information during investigation. Right here, you've got the type of workplace violence. We do need to have one of these marked down here to let us know what type of violence for the investigation to be done appropriately. And then you have the different classification of violent individuals, classification of circumstances in the time of the incident, type of violent incident. And then down here, which is required, is the detailed information. This is where you're going to provide the detailed description of the incidents, and you can also attach information, photos as needed. We do recommend try to put in this area as much information as you can. It should keep, let's make sure here, it should let you go all the way down. There we go. It will keep going. So just please fill it out as much as you can. Give as much details for the investigators. This here is the information of who's submitting this form. And then if you can answer these ones if you're able to, and then you'll sign and date. And then the remaining of the form will be for the investigators to complete. Then you'll hit continue. So here, let's submit one as an example. So, and then we'll just and then you're going to do a drop down to letting us know your work location. So I'll say this person works in human resources, and then the name of their supervisor, their email, if you have it, should be pretty similar to the rest of us, the date that the incident happened. So we'll say this happened on July 29th, and then we can say it happened at 9 o'clock, and then right here you're going to select AM or PM. The incident location, so it happened at GCC Central Office Human Resources, so that's where the person's working. But where did the incident happen? Did it happen at the central office? Did it happen in the parking lot? Or did this actually happen at a school site? So let's say it happened in the back parking lot. The incident site, you would just select again. So if it was still at the school, so we'll just we'll still say human resources there. Don't have that information right now. We're going to say parking lot here. And then we're going to do the type of workplace violence. It just says I've made a selection below, which means I've stating that I've made a selection between types 1, 2, or 3, depending on what happened. Let's say it was a type 2, workplace violence directed at employees by customers, clients, patients, students, inmates, or visitors. Classification of the violent individual. We'll say a stranger. Actually, let's do other. Or you can actually click more than one. You can say other or stranger. Classification of circumstance, time of the incident. If you don't feel like you have it, you can select other and then fill out the reason here. Type of violent incident, select all of them that apply. You could say it was an animal attack. They've got sexual assault or threat, including but not limited to rape, attempted rape, physical disciplinary or unwanted verbal or physical sexual contact, threat of physical force or threat of the use of a weapon or object, attack with a weapon or object, including but not limited to firearm, knife, or other objects, physical attack with a weapon, including but not limited to biting, choking, grabbing hair, pulling, kicking, punching, slapping, pushing, scratching, or splitting. Sorry, couldn't read that small. We'll just say physical threat of force, and then here you're going to just type in as much as information as you can. I'm just going to put a period for right now, and then I'm going to put my information here. So I'm John Doe. I'm a teacher. Put my phone number. And then I'm just going to put central office. We're going to say he's a teacher, that he works here at the central office. Supervisor, Sarah Doe. And then it's myself reporting. I'm going to hit sign. And then we'll put today's date. And then we're going to hit continue down here. And then it will go directly to the Director of Human Resources, Laura Berrigan. It should have her automatically selected, and then you just hit send to recipient, and then she will get an email automatically once it has been submitted to her. Again, if you have any questions or anything, you're more than welcome to contact Laura Berrigan or Matt Taylor. You can also email them as well. Again, thank you for watching, and if it's anything severe, please call 911 and then let your supervisor know. Again, thank you for watching.